Hi, I'm Sunny, and this is my podcast, Creator, Created, Creating. Short and sweet mindset shifts for intentional life creation. Hi. So I wanted to do a follow-up, part 2 of You Are Never Not Living Up to Your Potential, because as I was listening back to it, I realized there was a couple of more points that I wanted to cover about that. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, I recommend listening to that first before you listen to this, which is part 2 and a follow-up to You Are Never Not Living Up to Your Potential. So the first thing that I wanted to say about that, or just kind of go over about that, is that these projections on us of our potential, these expectations, are not just from others or from ourselves. They're from society. I didn't explicitly say that because it's kind of just known, but in case that wasn't absolutely clear, these aren't coming from nowhere, and they're not just coming from your elders or your family and friends. They're coming from society as a whole, and they're coming from our culture as a whole. They're coming from this intense pressure that we put onto each other and ourselves in this world to succeed, because we place all of our value in success and money, and not only that, but being happy and well-adjusted and healthy and all the things that you're supposed to be that show or prove that you are a successful human being, that you are a well-adjusted, successful human being, and you're doing okay and you're doing good. And anything that doesn't match those things, so if you're not just killing it in every area of your life, then you are not living up to your potential, right? That's what society is constantly telling us. You need to be doing work that completely 100% fulfills you 100% of the time, and you need to be making good money at it, and you need to be successful, and you need to be mentally healthy, and you need to be emotionally healthy, and you need to be physically healthy, and you need to be, and the list goes on and on, right? All of these expectations. And we place all of our value in how we're living up to that image. And it's just BS. As I said in that first episode, because you are living the full potential of your soul and your being right now. With everything that you have and everything that you've been through, you are living the full potential of that right now. And you are exploring it, and it is changing every single day. Even when it doesn't seem to be changing, you are always experiencing new and different things, and you are always going through things, and that is always information that the heart of you, the soul of you, the universe within you is just eating up and taking in and absorbing and gaining information from, priceless, valuable information, which you will then change your being over time. And so you're doing brilliantly at this, but when we have this image of these societal expectations that say you are only valuable when you are doing A, B, and C, and when it looks like this, and when you are succeeding, and when you are succeeding according to what the culture calls success, and when you look like what the culture calls looking good, and when you feel like what the culture calls feeling good, all of these things that you're comparing yourself to. Meanwhile, you are as you are. And there's this image, again, it's like in the sky, it's like in front of you, it's like a picture, right? It's like a picture on a screen, and you're just not that. And you're trying to make yourself that. And so every time you look at that, you come up short and you feel terrible about yourself and you feel that you're not living up to your potential. And then you're coming from lack. So then you're trying to create that fullness of feeling from this place of lack. And it doesn't work. It never, ever works. So that's why I'm so passionate about this, because when we allow ourselves to fully love ourselves exactly as we are, where we are, which will automatically, just by bringing some love and acceptance, even if you can't bring love, you can bring at least acceptance. That will automatically clear up space, which will release shame, so that you don't even have to get rid of shame. You don't even have to get rid of feelings of failure. That love is going to allow those things to naturally shift. That acceptance is going to allow those things to naturally shift. So that, I just wanted to speak to that it's not just, you putting that on yourself, or like your parents or your family or friends putting that on you. It's all of society. It's all of our culture. And it's been going on for way longer than any of us want to get into. But it's just an image, and you don't have to live up to it. You get to love yourself right where you are, and that will change everything. But people are terrified that love is not enough, and that love doesn't change, that punishment changes, that understanding and love cannot change our inner state, but that pressure and letting people know that they are unacceptable as they are will motivate them to change. And guess what? It will motivate them to do things that are inauthentic to them and that feel awful to them. And then they will get to where they need to go, or where they thought they needed to go, and they will still be unhappy and stressed now too, because they have to upkeep this show and this performance that they never wanted to put on in the first place. We're not looking for motivation in this podcast. We're looking for inspiration, and inspiration always comes from being yourself, being at peace, or even not even being at peace, but just being yourself. So sometimes you get fired up about something and you have passion about that thing. And that's coming from a very real place within you, but it's coming from an allowing yourself to be as you are place. So we're looking for inspiration, which always comes from love. Motivation can absolutely happen from punishment and from shame and from you're not being enough and you're not doing enough. Yeah, you can motivate the heck out of some people. And we've been doing it for thousands of years in this society. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny when you step back and you see, my God. Once you see that, you just can't unsee it. But we keep doing it to ourselves because it's ingrained. It's ingrained. So all you have to do is recognize this is going on. And recognize that you have this conditioned mind that wants to carry out those orders that you've learned to carry out. And you also have your heart and soul, your authentic self, the center of you, the universe and your being, like God, that knows what it's doing, even when that doesn't look like what other people expect from you. That knows that there is wisdom in where you are and where you're at and what you're learning now and what you're experiencing now, and knows the full beauty of you. That's not some image of perfection that the world has, but is actually perfectly you. Warts and all. Like what we call warts are actually delicious, yummy nuggets for the universe to eat up and enjoy and learn from and grow from. So it may help you to just depersonalize that a little bit, step back, like in that kind of Cheshire Cat view, moon in the sky, smiling view, looking at these two parts of yourself, and just recognize there's always going to be those two parts of you. There's always going to be that conditioning loop that's there, and you'll see it in the world. But there's this other part of you. And if you just give them both space to be, then you won't feel that immense pressure. And that will automatically give you a choice. But when we're really caught up in one or the other, or we're trying to push away one or the other, then we don't really have a choice. So that was the first thing that I wanted to talk about regarding that. And then, and this one may be a little bit harder to hear, but I wanted to touch again on some mental objections that might have come up around that. But what about like really awful people? What about people who live a really painful, what I would judge as horrible life? And I wanted to offer my perspective about that also, which is that not everyone came here for the same experience. Not everyone came here to be the same thing. We were not all designed to be the same exact character in this world stage. Villains are in this story, just like they're in all of our stories, and they serve their purpose. And I know that's hard. We would really love for there never to be any contrast. We think we would love that. And that everyone thought and felt the same, and that there was never any disruption whatsoever or any pain ever. But the way that I like to think of this is like watching a movie or story or reading a book. Like the contrast makes it beautiful. The contrast in the stories make it beautiful. They're what reveal something. And so if the universe is, and God and the source, or source itself, is like a book or like a play, then it has all cast of characters within itself, just as we have all cast of characters within ourselves, but also all cast of characters in the world. And they're all revealing ourself to ourself, parts of ourself, the consequences of certain parts of ourselves, how that looks, how that feels, how that plays out. And we learn from it, or you could even say we just purely experience the full contrast of that. And so we might not like it, but what does that enable us to do? It enables us to have choice, which creates something interesting, which creates a journey, the illusion of this journey that we go on, which creates this whole fascinating, beautiful story full of twists and turns and surprises and mystery and beauty and ugliness and all of it. Like we would be seriously bored if every single person was exactly the same and everything was always just fine, right? If everything was just fine 100% of the time, it might be really boring and we wouldn't have any sense of self. And I think the whole point of coming to Earth and being a body on this earth is to experience yourself as a unique being, having the choice to be and express as you want to be in this world. And so whenever you go into trying to defend things like that, just bring yourself back to your choice. Because we cannot control what other people choose, but we can choose what we choose. So I choose peace. Yes, I choose ease. I choose love. I choose passion. I choose allowing. I choose kindness. I choose all kinds of things like that. I don't choose to be a villain. I don't choose to do these certain things. I can't control what those people do, but I can use my choice to make what kind of difference I want to make in the world and trust that will be enough. Plus, it doesn't matter because that's all I have control over, unfortunately. So I'm just tenderly offering that perspective to you as well, in case that last episode brought up those kind of mental arguments. I like to address those mental arguments when they come up with my perspective, but of course, your perspective is your perspective. Thanks for joining me today. And if you'd like to find out more about me and my work, you can find me at sunnychapman.com.